Cyber fraud incidents are increasing rapidly, creating pressure on banks to respond faster, secure customer funds, and maintain regulatory compliance. Trust Fintech Limited provides seamless NCRP-CFCFRMS integration with core banking systems, enabling automated fraud management and real-time compliance. Fraud complaints are automatically received, validated, and processed. Account and transaction details are verified instantly, reducing manual effort and accelerating response times. This enables faster fraud detection and improves customer trust and satisfaction. Take immediate action on suspicious accounts with automated debit freezes and lien marking to help secure disputed funds. Track complaints, monitor turnaround times, generate MIS reports, and provide real-time status updates through a centralized dashboard. Strengthen cyber fraud management with Trust Fintech's NCRP-CFCFRMS integration solution and build a more secure, compliant banking environment.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mahesh, and on behalf of Trust Fintech Limited, I welcome you today webinar NCRP and FRI Integration Solution. Today we are learn how banks can automate fraud monitoring, strengthen compliance, and improve cyber fraud response through seamless integration with CBS. We are happy to have Mr. Magran sir with us today. He is the General Manager at Trust Fintech Limited, has extensive experience in banking technology and digital transformation solution. He will guide us through today's session. Thank you. Magran sir, over to you.
So I think let us start now. Many people have already joined. So first of all, I welcome you all. A very good morning. Now the very first thing people will say, why it is good morning now? But as per many digital performers, they say whenever there is any good new thing to come up, let's welcome by a good morning. So a very good morning to all of you. We are going in through a new concept over here that is called the seminar on NCRP-CFCFRMS integration with the CBS. I'm audible. I hope if anybody is not able to hear me or if there is any issues in between, you can just raise your hands and we'll take care of the requirement.
You are audible.
Yes. So now what is cyber fraud? Once we say cyber fraud, something comes into our mind which is very big, thing which is complicated, and basically a cyber fraud which is a case where each and every person, whether he is employed, unemployed, whether he is a farmer, a shopkeeper, a businessman, a business tycoon, people from the security measures, so anybody, any person who is having any relation with the mobile, with the banking accounts, he has somewhere or some around came across with a concept which is called a cyber fraud. I think everybody will agree to it, and it's a very easy thing that has happened for the people, the cyber fraudsters, to gain access to the accounts and get an undue benefits through the system. Cyber frauds, why they become why they exist basically. So whenever with the increasing digital transactions which we are doing through the UPI, IMPS, internet banking, mobile banking, this fraud systems are also they are increasing, and hence comes in which is called the regulatory compliance, which becomes essential. And the regulatory compliance in this case is what? It is the NCRP-CFCFRMS. So whenever there is a fraud, some systems come up, some tackle has been done across it. So this race is always going up. Somebody comes up with some systems and somebody comes up to tackle that system, either in a good mood or in a bad mood. So the banking has become easy and so has increased the cyber frauds. Through NCRP and CFCFRMS, banks can receive the fraud complaints electronically and take immediate actions related to it. Immediately, so as this is a system, somebody has to come up with the solution And so Trust Fintech has come up with the solution which can give a pretty good and seamless integration for the banks to go into handling these systems with ease of integration, with cost benefits, and there are multiple options which will get you through during the presentation. So during this today's session, we'll discuss on the solution architecture, the complete life cycle, infrastructure requirements, and why ASP deployment becomes necessary. So I'll take you through the entire presentation, which will give you the basic ideas on what the system is, why it is necessary, what is the bank's role, what is the customer's role, and how the overall system takes place, and how does it function. So please allow me to present this presentation, which is related to NCRP and CFCFRMS. Okay, now let me give a small introduction about Trust Fintech Limited. Trust Fintech is already working in BFSI sector, mainly known for its long-lasting CBS solutions through different banks in different sectors of the banks. We are specialized in banking, financial inclusions. We are serving NBFCs, government institutions, PSUs, and multiple core sectors of banking, and with a very good infrastructure and a good application solution for its core banking and its compliance. So core banking as well as the compliance part is what we handle, which gives us an upper edge where we are discussing onto the banking applications. As I said in my initial thing, the growing cyber fraud challenges are the one which should be taken care of. And why do they exist now? Maybe a few years back, these words were new, not known to us. Some new steps have been taken, some new frauds have been taken out. So the increasing incidence of the digital payments has given the birth to the cyber frauds. The account takeovers, which are quite easier, the phishing attacks, the social engineering scams, usage of the mule accounts. So all of these usages has compelled the regulators and the government agencies to establish a response mechanism which can take care of these frauds. And basically, stopping the frauds may not be that easy, but when the fraud happens, the moment of the cash or the moment of the funds, that if it is stopped, then the basic influence of the fraudulent systems, they get debarred, and that is what we are to uh, concentrate on. So as I said, there are the different types of frauds that come up, which are UPI nowadays a very attractive method for usage of the funds. So UPI, though it is based on its usage, obviously the frauds also come up on a very high scale. As I said, using the mule accounts, maybe you must be knowing what is the mule account. So that also will come up during my presentation. Account takeovers, social engineering is a very big source of easy access of personal information. Uh, this is just a thing what I need to emphasize on. Few people might be knowing this, but in the social engineering, we fall very easy prey to these fraudsters because of our own deeds. We display our names, we display what our travel plans, we display what our purchases are, we display our homes, we display a lot of the things which are unnecessary. And these social engineering platforms give a very easy access for the fraudsters to in, get in touch with us. So as far as possible, when there is not necessary, we should refrain ourselves from putting all this unnecessary information on the social platforms. The phishing attacks are already there, so RBI is continuously giving these instructions that don't click on any unknown emails, don't click on the links which are there from an unknown user, unknown sender rather. So these are the phishing attacks. The investment scams are there. Uh, very luring systems that are there in the paisa double in 25 days or within a month. Nowadays, the tune is also going on. So these are the investment scams that also that come up. So the key challenge over here is the moment fraud happens. Hello, is anybody speaking up? Can you mute everyone? So the key challenge over here is the funds, the fraudulent funds that move across at a very high speed. So then tracking becomes very difficult, and then once the fraudulent amount moves out from the account, then tracking and getting it back is a bigger challenge. So here comes in the governments of India's NCRP system. So the government of India has come up with this NCRP solution, which is this solution is given by the Minister of Home Affairs, that is I4C. What they do, NCRP is a centralized reporting of all the cyber crimes. The main task is to faster investigation process, give the banks the instructions for freezing the accounts, coordination and internal coordination with the banks, and the main motto is to stop the fraud before funds disappear. This is very important thing. As I was saying, stopping frauds most of the time is not possible, but if you stop the funds disappear from the account, from the destination account, the main motto of the fraudsters that can be paralyzed and we can recover the amount. And now how this NCRP does this, it does it with the internet-facing platform. This internet-facing platform is for the users also to put in up their request. So that is which is called as CFCFRMS platform. So this is the Citizens Financial Cyber Fraud Reporting and Management System. This is also a part of NCRP. So what they do is, whenever any fraud happens, the first of all registration of this fraud, then the entire tracking, communication with the banks, debit freezing. So these all is being done through CFCFRMS. And who are these entities? Basically the victim who has been targeted, police authorities who has to report the FIRs, I4C, which obviously is the parent body of all of this infrastructure, the banks and the entire payment ecosystem. Now, okay, the frauds are there, the system is there. Now, the main question is why banks? As is very common, the entire accounting is with the bank, the basic source of it, and so getting it through the bank is what is necessary. The bank is the core of this entire system where the payments will flow through. So the operational duties over here of the institutions are expecting the banks to promptly reply, handle the fraud, and obviously reply back to the agencies for the complaints and all. So the regulatory authorities they expect the banks to uh, transact on the accounts also as well as present the uh, destination to the authorities on what has happened with them. So this is the entire NCRP complete life cycle which has to be followed. First of all, what happens is the report of the fraud. The customer who is a victim, he reports the fraud on the CFCFRMS website, and this gets registered at the NCRP. CFCFRMS, as I said, identifies the destination bank first of all, uh, because the fund is going to traverse to that destination bank. The complaint immediately on accessing the destination bank is sent to the bank. Now, when the bank receives it, then there has to be a validation of the account, as well as there might be some duplicate requests also for the same incidents. So the bank has to check the genuinity of the request, or if it's a duplicate request, and act accordingly. The first thing bank has to do is freeze the funds. As I said, because the moment of the funds happens, the motto of the fraudster is successful. So the first thing happens is the freezing of the funds, and then report the status back to CFCFRMS for the further investigation. So this is the entire life cycle. This happens through various steps, through CFCFRMS integration, through the API that are being sent by CFCFRMS to the reporting authority as well as to the bank. And this entire infrastructure has to be set for a very aggressively and a faster response, as well as to get the things in place at the desired and specific time. Now, frauds is happening, system is there. Now what the bank has to do? Finally, as I said, the target is the bank account. Now, what the challenges that the banks face? Obviously, NCRP has the integration, but how the banks will integrate with the NCRP? That is the first challenge. Now, what is the challenge into it? The limited IT resources. Every bank will not have its own IT department, which can have the API integration, development of the application, maintaining the database, having the entire uh, reports scanning, sending it in the proper format. So this is all related to the IT resources of a bank, and which may all banks may not have all of these required resources, or if they even have the resources, they are already engaged with a few of the already day-to-day tasks, and this is obviously an additional task which is a burden on a financial burden on the bank. Inflection complexity, as it is, as I already said, the transition moves very fast, and so it's a very complex architecture that has to be followed. And then becoming an NCRP compliant without major infrastructure investment. This is a very big thing. Now we know NCRP has come up with the solution, but to implement this, we need an IT as well as we need a very big and a good IT infrastructure to handle all of these cases, to have the request traversed through our servers, through the banks, through the CBS, getting it freezed, getting the response back, and sending it back to the NCRP for the further processing. So all of these need a very good infrastructure, and that is a very big investment for the bank. And this is the major challenge. The implementation of the solution might be sometimes easy, but having the infrastructure for this particular thing becomes a very difficult task. As I said, this API development is already there. And in addition to that, not only the integration of the solutions is required, but also the monitoring is required. We have to send all of the respective reports to the audit systems. Obviously, there is always a connectivity which is there from the NCRP as well as with the banks, CBS, and the infrastructure setup. Regulatory coordination, because whatever we do, the final report has to go to the regulatory coordination system so that the regulators know that what actions we have taken as a bank and how do we comply with the system. Here, as I said, the two challenges which the bank face: the having the IT infrastructure, having the IT system in place, and the infrastructure system. So this is where Trust is coming up with an ASP-based solution. Now, what this ASP-based solution means? It's a single integration. Bank, the entire integration with the CBS is a one-time activity which the TFL does. So, as an ASP supplier, as an ASP service provider, TFL already is communicating with NCRP, integrating with their APIs, and having their message routing and then the compliance with the regulatory systems. In addition to that, we have the monitoring systems. We have report formations, which can be exported in the required formats. So all of these things are in place. Now, what the things needs to be done? For the first time, the bank has to integrate with TFL, and this is a one-time activity the bank has to do. Solution architecture over here that depends on the NCRP API gateway. Why it is API gateway? NCRP has its own engine, whatever is there into their systems. We access to this system is through the API that NCRP shares with us. And so this API gateway becomes a basic source of information for all the fraudulent activity that take place. They are based on either the mobile numbers, account, personal information, whatever. So there are many aspects into this. Uh, but the entire information that comes in to our systems is through the API gateway. When that API gateway information comes in, we have to have the processing done, create audit files, and the reporting engine. Finally, the monitoring services are there, which gives us the exact thing what we have done, how many reports we have received, how many have processed, how many are pending. So this entire report also that comes for the bank also as well as for the regulator. Now, what the bank exactly has to do into this? When the request comes in from the NCRP to TFL to the bank CBS, so account validation has to be there. So whatever request has come, as I said, the registration account is given by the NCRP. So whether this account is there, the account validation process is first of all it is done. The status verification of the account, which type of account it is, to what account is this fraudulent amount is getting to get deposited. Then obviously once that is being detected, then the debit freeze, the freeze release, lien marking, lien removal. I'll explain also this in the coming stages. So these are the basic processes which are to be done on an account, which is to be performed by the bank. So bank means the CBS application, which is there managing all the entire accounts. this has to do all of these processes. The balance inquiry which is there, because the fraudulent amount which has been reported, whether that much of amount through the transaction is already being deposited into the bank or not, into the account, that also has to be verified. And then obviously the amount whole process. As I said, the complaint is received. So what all is there into the complaint? The tracking has to be for each and every complaint, that is also necessary when we show it on the dashboards and all. The complaint ID, the account details, only the not the account detail but the transaction details through which the fraud has been reported, the fraudulent amount, and the FR that is attached to it. Whenever there is a fraud, for the banks to have an official transaction or an official methodology to work on it, or the bank will need an FR information that is also associated with the request. And then the entire tracking that happens through a particular reference number which is being generated for that particular fraudulent request. So till the entire cycle is complete, this reference number acts as a basic reference for the entire tracking, the resolution, and the reporting. Now, we have different modules, as I said, in an application. We have to present on with the different modules. So account validation module is one of it. What does it do? The account existence. As I said, the status, whether the account is operative, it is dormant, active, dead, whatever the account status is there, that also has to be informed. In addition to now what we had got, what we had received is the account number and its information. Based on that, the customer information that is being linked with it, that also has to be provided to the agencies. Then the first thing that comes in is the faster response, that is we have to give it to the entire process. We have to stop the movement of the funds and report it back to the system agencies also. And now here comes in the main thing, the reduced manual efforts. Initially, why the system has come in place and why using of the TFL APIs with CFC and FRMS as well as the bank CBS is necessary. It is because of the reduced manual efforts. As I said, the fraudsters, what they do is the very fast and rapid movement of the transaction amount. So to tackle to that, we also as a bank, as a regulatory authority, what we have to do is a very fast and aggressive movements, and which cannot be done manually. It has to be have an automated system, and this overall system what we are proposing is an automated system that helps in stopping the frauds as well as that also improve the compliance, because we follow all the rules and regulations which are being sent by NCRP, and the same has to be followed for integration of this application. The first thing what needs to be done is the debit freeze. This is the only thing what the bank can do in case they have to stop the fraudulent amount. So debit freeze is the requirement. Now in debit freeze there are also multiple things that comes in. As I said, there can be an actual fraud that has been happened. There is misreporting also, and sometimes some mischief activities also has been done by the reporting agency or the victim. So either we have to have a debit freeze or we can have a partial freeze also. The options that we give to the bank uh, through the CBS and integration applications is we can have the entire account freezed or we can have a partial freeze, and then we can create a lien creation for it. Lien creation will obviously take uh, the funds which are that not to be withdrawn. So the identified fraud amount, whatever is there, that is being freezed. So that takes care of the regulations that are being given to the bank, and the bank stays safe in this condition, as well as at the same time the user of that account also can have the access to his account. So inconvenience to the user also is been reduced, and the bank is also safe for its integration process. Then obviously after the entire resolution has been taken out, sometimes the fraud is not an actual fraud, so that we have to have the freeze release also. And TFL provides uh, the options of having multiple users to authorize the freeze amount, because freeze is the one which has to be taken in a very religious manner, so that there has should not be any false releases of the. So the victim has reported his fraud, the bank has taken care either by freezing the account or releasing the account, and then the comes in the is what status synchronization in the CFCFRMS. So what all again is there into this process? The complaint acknowledgement, whether the freeze was successful, how much amount is secured. Sometimes there is no balance also into the account. The account is dormant. KYC is not there. The account is closed. So all these errors, either the success of the transaction or the failure of the transaction, the entire error reporting has to be done to CFC FRMS, and that we also model is what we provide through this status synchronization. Complaint processing workflow we provide, account validation module we provide, status synchronization with CFRMS we provide, and then comes is the monitoring and audit framework. We had done all the things now. Victim has raised the request, we have freezed the amount, and now what we have to give is the status to the auditor or the status to the regulatory authority. How can we do that, or how the banks, what is the measure the bank have with it? They have the monitoring and the audit framework. So with this, whatever transactions we have done are being reported back to the authorities using this module. So what all they do? Status reporting means what actually? The complaint logs what we had received, the API transactions what has been done, the freezing history what has been done, freezing, unfreezing, and overall the transaction trails. This entire report thing has to be sent to the monitoring through the monitoring software to the authorities to justify what the bank has done so that it is acting as per the compliance. A potential dashboard also shows us how many pending complaints are there, how many resolved complaints are there, what free statuses are there, and the entire secured amount. There are also some failed transactions where, as I said, if the account is non-operative, overall the request itself is false. So there are all the failed transactions that also come, and the exceptional alerts which are given through the banking processes. Monitoring dashboard will show on screen what all the things are been happening, how much efforts are being taken, what transactions are being lured to, how much transactions have been taken care of, what are all the fees. But how does it been given to the reporting authority with this MIS reports? So of all the transactions, the TFL solution will provide this MIS reports either in Excel format or in PDF formats with all the required parameters, which are day-to-day updated by the NCRP based on the transactions, based on the different types of fraud that come in. Every time there is some updations on the NCRP side also, and accordingly, that much of the events are being marked in the MIS reports and that are being sent back to NCRP. So this is the all the entire infrastructure that is being done. Authorities are there, bank is there, the victim is there. Now it comes in why and how the bank can deploy this system. As I said initially, there are two challenges for the banks: having the uh, IT infrastructure, having the IT people around them, and having the infrastructure for them. TFL has come up with both of the solutions. The TFL will provide its own solution, which will so the bank is not the bank doesn't have to have its own IT cell for creating the solution. And then the second thing that comes in is the infrastructure. When this entire network has to be formed, there are to be have the bank needs to have the servers which can communicate with the NCRP to get the APIs. So this NCRP servers, the integration infrastructure, what is the integration infrastructure seems to? The firewalls that are being there, then the all HS systems which avoid the failovers. Then any of the system going down, that has to be accessed. In sometimes initially the request increase to a very good extent. So there the bank has to also take care of the load balancing is what we say in the infrastructural words. So initially the bandwidth should probably say of handling 20, 25 cases per day. And suddenly due to some things, some events happening overall in the city nearby the areas, the number of requests increased to a very high extent, which the regular infrastructure cannot handle. So here, the TFL takes care of it by having the load balancing infrastructure also in place. So what I was saying was this: these are the two main challenges for the banks to have the system integrated. One is having the IT infrastructure, and second is this network infrastructure. So IT problem is solved by TFL by providing the necessary integration software with NCRP as well as with the CBS of the bank. So as you already know, TFL is also is a CBS provider. So we can have, if the bank is having TFL CBS, we will integrate with it. If the bank is having some other CBS also, then with our integration adapter, what we'll provide, the CBS vendor of the bank can have its integration module with the adapters provided by TFL. So the bank doesn't need to have much more changes in their current infrastructure. The bank will run its own CBS. That CBS will integrate with our APIs so that the entire system works properly as per the requirement. The second thing that comes in is where to float this entire solution. So TFL has its own data centers where we float our NCRP servers, and we give this entire system on an ASP basis for the different banks. So which relieves the bank from a very big investment of having its own infrastructure for such a middle level activity. As you already know, this is an overall additional burden on the banks, which, though it is compulsory, but the revenue generation from it is not there. But as far as the regulation is concerned, bank has to have the systems in place. So wherever it is possible, the banks will look to have smaller expenses on this entire system, and this is where TFL ASP model comes in. So we will do the entire infrastructure setup for you for the banks. We will have this co-located, and we will float this entire solution on the servers which are co-located in the our DC and DRs set. All the banks, cooperative banks, DCCBs, all types of other banks, UCBs and all, they will be benefited from this entire network setup. Obviously, which I said, the first thing that comes in is the faster compliance. Whenever an incident has been reported, the faster compliance has to be done for this particular incident. And through this ASP infrastructure, bank can have a very faster compliance to it, reduced ID burden, faster onboarding of the entire system onto the. Obviously, then the centralized management that comes in, where TFL is going to do all the necessary things for the bank, communicating with NCRP, displaying the dashboards, creating reports, compliance with necessities what are there. That is all being done by the TFL application. The bank, along with its CBS, has to provide the interface to the accounts which are there as a destination account. So the activity that is on the bank side is limited to accessing the accounts. The rest of the things connecting to the NCRP, providing the reports, getting the reports done, supplying it to the bank, supplying it to the authorities. This is all can be done with the help of the TFL application. Obviously, the bank also has different teams. So I'm explaining the benefits to the different teams of the bank. So when with this TFL application, the workflows are automated, manual interventions are reduced, compliance is already being done. Main important thing is the tracking. For each and every incident that has been raised, as I said, the reference numbers are there, the proper database structuring is already done, reports are there, dashboards are there. So the tracking of the entire system goes through in a very proper manner. Thereby reducing, as it's there is no manual intervention into the entire process. The creation, usage, application, reverting back, action taken, everything is automated with the help of the APIs through the one-time activity that is as I already said. This is being done once the NPCR gives us the interface to its APIs. We integrate it into our application. We take care for the CBS providers to integrate with our solution, and the entire system goes in an automated process. So from registering of a complaint to the freezing of the account, unfreezing the account, reporting the status back, this entire things become automated, and so this is a big benefit for the operation teams of the bank. Bank has to have the compliance teams also, which is a very necessary thing for it. Same thing applies here also, as we are providing the reports and everything in a format which the regulatory authorities they require for it. So we are taking care of all the parameters that have been necessary for the registration of the complaint and the tracking of the complaint and the end result of the complaint. So all of these things have been taken in the format which is being which are necessary or which are being complied by the regulatory authorities. So the added burden on the compliance team also is reduced just by having the TFL solution. And finally, that comes is the customer. The bank customer, whoever was there, who is going to have the account, either as a victim or the one who is wrongly monitored or wrongly marked as a beneficiary account. So in that both of the cases, this thing has to be done. So the transparency that comes in, as it's an automated system, the entire thing which has been reported that comes in into this monitoring of it becomes easy. The tracking of the entire status becomes easy, and obviously the because of this, the customer has an additional trust into the bank. His account is safe. He is not exposed to the authorities for uh, unnecessary questionings. So, as the system is being followed, uh, the customer is also secured or his amount is secured. The fraudulent accounts are being freezed so that the amount, once the amount is there within the control, the victim can get back his amount. So this way, the final person who is standing in the queue is the customer, and he gets benefited out of the system. Now the implementation approach. So how does this entire so phase one that comes in for the requirement finalization? Whenever a bank, so this is what the entire bank needs now. Relating to this system is mandatory for all the banks. Remember this now it is mandatory made by RBI. So every bank has to have this solution in place. So how do we do this? Through TFL. The phase one is the requirement finalization. What does the bank need? Either they have their own systems, they have their own infrastructure, or they wish to have our ASP systems in place and get the entire solution through our systems. Once we decide that, then comes in is the CBS integration. This becomes a very important step into the entire solution deployment. CBS, the final activity will be done by the CBS only. Either it's a TFL CBS or it's an any other CBS which is there in place. So the bank doesn't have the additional burden of making any differences in the current CBS provider. What he has to do only is develop the interface, develop an adapter to for the TFL supplied systems. That's it. So the CBS integration becomes a part of it. Configuration as per the requirement, and then we make the UAT. Configuration means what? The NCRP gives us the different aspects on what is to be tested, what configuration needs to be done. So TFL, with the help of NCRP, we finalize the application, and then we go for the UAT process. UAT, after it is done, the testing is done, NCRP gives us the certificate that, oh, okay, for this particular bank, the system has been deployed properly, the results are there in place. We conform to all the regulatory informations. So the bank is now safe. And then after getting the certificate from the NCRP, we make the system to go live. Depending on various aspects, like what are what are the uh, number of accounts the bank is handling, what infrastructure does it have, which step the bank is willing to go, how the CBS integration will happen, and how fast the bank can get the compliances from the NCRP. Based on all of these things, the overall structure will go live between 10 to 12 weeks from the initiation phase. Now there are the main thing that comes in for the bank. System is there, the the compliance requirement is there, solution is there. Now how the bank can take care of this overall requirement on a commercial aspect. As I mentioned, the API integration and setup, which will be done by TFL on the ASP basis servers. So the bank can assure or bank can get the services based on the annual ASP subscription. So the entry cost for the bank becomes very low. Just imagine if the bank for this particular thing has to deploy its own servers, its own firewalls, network connectivity to NCRP, network connectivity to the CBS, and then managing all of these networks on a 24/7 basis. Because uh, once the incident is happened, once the incident is registered, immediate action is necessary. And for that, to have get this entire cycle to go through, the network has to be in place. So getting a network also in place, this overall expenses are very much high for the bank. And on this ASP basis, the bank is refrain from all of these things. They can just have annual ASP subscription with the TSP, like a TFL, at a very low entry cost, and give the entire compliance as per required by the authority. Now, why Trust Fintech can give this? See, Trust Fintech is working in this sector for a very long time. We main core have the CBS infrastructure already in place. We are working for more than 2 decades in the CBS platforms, as well as other allied solutions and systems are being already deployed and running through the entire network by the TFL. We have the banking presence in, as I said, there are two aspects of this solution. One is on the CBS side, one is on the regulatory side. We have worked on the regulatory platforms also. We have good expertise in handling the regulatory requirements. We have already deployed the systems on ASP basis. So that experience also is what we carry. We have dedicated teams for different projects. We have, uh, as I said, CBS systems are there. We are handling GST systems. We are handling LOS systems. So we have different systems already there in place which can take care of all the banking requirements. End-to-end implementation support, because of this experience what we carry through, we can give right from helping the bank in getting registered with the NCRP, from that point, particular initiation point, to the successful implementation of the system. So we will be there hand in hand with the bank to get the entire system deployed properly. That is where TFL comes in. So guys, this is what I have to say. Now, basically, the NCRP regulations has come in, are made compulsory. So for each and every bank, it is compulsory to have the NCRP system in place. So need to start the journey as soon as possible, so that see, there is always a race between the fraudsters and the regulatory systems. Whoever comes first wins the race. So the bank has to have the systems in place as soon as possible. We have the solutions ready for the bank. We have the overall know-how of the system. Handholding with the TFL, the bank can deploy the systems, have its customers faith into the bank, that that entire overall hard-earned money is safe with the bank, and obviously comply with the compliant regulatory systems. So doing all of these things, the overall system can be in place. It will help all of them, the government also, the bank also, the customers also. So everything, and we can defeat the fraudsters, their plans, by having the entire system in place. This is what all I have to say. And for this, for us to go together, these are our contacts. Uh, Participants can have a note of this and get in touch with us. We will provide you the best of the system, best of the solution, with all the compliances related, with all the monitoring systems required, with necessary reports, MIS reports to be given, to be presented to the regulatory authorities, as well, whatever the new things comes in. So this is also a very important point for the banks to understand. uh, every time new fraudulent activity they come in, new methods come in, so NCRP comes up with the additional requirements based on the events that have been followed. So if the bank has to do it on its own, it will again take a lot of taxing on the bank. But as a TFL solution provider, all that integration with NCRP will be done by TFL. So bank is relieved from all of these day-to-day activities, in addition to have compliance as per the regulatory authorities. So this is all what we have. You can connect with us on the mentioned numbers over here. We have our email IDs being given. You can get connected from wherever you are. and we feel that we'll give a solution which helps you to have a proper system in place. Thank you, everyone.